4 people from our church. If you just list the positions, it obscures the person, because sometimes the position obscures the person. And when we talk about the Christ, a lot of times, at least in Jesus' day, they were looking at the position. The problem with positions is positions tend to raise expectations. Now, this isn't always bad. You go to the doctor, and he's called the doctor, and you expect the doctor to be able to diagnose your problems. That's good. You go to a therapist, you have expectations of the therapist. They've worked with lots of people who struggle. Your expectation is that the therapist can help you with your struggles. Now, the problem is you might go to a doctor who gives you some advice, and then you see him out in the parking lot smoking a cigarette, and you're like, wait, can a doctor smoke a cigarette? Wait, can the therapist have a bad marriage? Wait, you've raised expectations, and sometimes you think a doctor can't make a bad health decision, or a therapist can't have a relational problem in his or her life. That's not true. It's not true. The other thing is positions can reduce relationships. I posted on Facebook this week or last week an article about how pastors don't actually have friends in their churches. There's a power dynamic that goes on here. So none of us are actually friends according to this article. And if I were to step out of the pastor role, most of us would not be in a relationship anymore. Pastors can't have friends. This is actually a problem if positions reduce relationships. I was just talking with some of my pastor friends this last week when we had lunch together, and we said, so do you have friends in your church? Yeah, I do. Do you have friends in your church? Yeah, I do. Okay, maybe this article was bogus, but when you relate to someone based upon a position, there are certain things you would never tell me because I'm a pastor. You might think I'm holy and I couldn't understand. You might think I'm arrogant and I couldn't understand. You might really be afraid that something you tell me shows up in a sermon. So how dare you, don't tell me. It can reduce relationships. That's obviously not just true for pastors, by the way. This could be true of your boss. One of the reasons we love Michael Scott from The Office is here's a guy who doesn't know that his position makes it hard to have relationships, because sometimes positions can reduce relationships. Your boss probably can't be best friends with you. Why? Because then everyone assumes that you're going to play favorites. And so positions can reduce relationships.